one day I was just around and I was just browsing through their programs because my mind was strictly business, that was my area. And then I
Mm.
saw special education, and then I read it was a switch from my business background
Okay.
to education, like fully education background. So I did special education. And
Okay.
it was crazy because the whole system of special education in United States, it's different because it's based on their system, IDEA, and it's strictly Americanized. And
Mm-hmm.
looking at me coming from Ghana, having no idea, no background of how
Mm-hmm.
the American system works, it was
Yeah.
very crazy for me to.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome once again to the life of the AfroPro. Today, I have another gentleman with me who is going to tell us a story right from master's degree through to a PhD. My guest today is Van Dyke Adadeeboah, and he's at Tennessee Tech pursuing PhD. He's going to tell us more about his PhD research area and his interests as well. Van Dyke, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Senior.
It's been a while, and it's
I
good to
know,
see
right?
you once again.
Yeah, I think the last time we met was when you completed OT, right? That was, I think,
Yes.
because you were a year ahead of me. That was,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think that was the last time we met.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
since then, I don't think we've crossed paths.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited. You having me here. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't take it
good to have
lightly.
you too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So then we'll start the conversation.
Right, right.
So you give us a little bit about your background and your
Okay,
career through life.
okay. Interesting. So, okay, so Van Dyke Aladia wife already introduced me. So I was born to a wonderful parent, Mrs. Aladia Prof. Messiama Aladia, currently a lecturer, Christian Service College. So I had my elementary school education because my mom was teaching at Osage too, and where we met. So I had
Mm-hmm.
the privilege to attend one of the best elementary schools around Penwith. And
Okay.
right after Penwith, I also got enrolled in the best secondary school in Ghana, Osage to Abrabon,
Yeah,
there's no
sure.
doubt. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
All other schools are, forget about them. So yeah, so in OT I read business.
Okay.
So I did accounting, economics, costing, and then business management. So I successfully passed through the secondary education, and then I also gained admission to the best university in Ghana, Cape Coast University, where I know you are jealous because it went to Legon, but yeah, bear
Yeah.
with me. So I
Mm-hmm.
did read economics, business management, and
Okay.
yeah, and I majored in economics. So
Okay.
after my 4-year program with Cape Coast University, I also sat for the board exam, and I did write the ACCE. So
Okay.
I went through all the stages, like the parts, part one, part two, part three, and
Mm-hmm.
I passed all the exams. So I was inducted as a professional licensed financial economist.
Okay.
So right from there, I had the privilege to work with um, a Nestle distributor, one of the biggest Nestle distributors in Ghana. I worked with Nestle for a while, the distributor for a while, and then I switched jobs. I worked with a cocoa firm too, and then
Mm-hmm.
right after cocoa firm, I had the privilege to gain admission to study to do my master's with East Tennessee State University.
Okay.
So with East Tennessee State, it was a switch from my business background
Okay.
to education, like fully education background. So I did special education. And
Okay.
it was crazy because the whole system of special education in United States, it's different because it's based on their system, IDEA, and it's strictly Americanized. And
Mm-hmm.
looking at me coming from Ghana, having no idea, no background of how
Mm-hmm.
the American system works, it was
Yeah.
very crazy for me to kind of be at par with my colleagues in class. But, you know,
Okay.
I was able to get like friends who were able to help me out. So, but my main aim was to get into behavior economics. But when I went to my master's, I realized that I could look at behavior analysis from a different angle. So even though I had my master's in special education, that was not the ultimate aim. I just wanted to enter into the field of behavior analysis. But that was a prerequisite for me to get into the behavior analysis program. So that is why I chose that route. And it was crazy, but it was worth it, the whole system of American education where you are always writing, research. So I gained admission to Tennessee Tech, and then I was able to have another second master's here, even though whilst I was in the PhD program. So I had a second master's with Tennessee Tech, and I'm currently in the final phase of my PhD program. So that is all that I can say about myself.
Okay, let me take you back to the motivation behind you switching from business. You said you were certified economist.
Yeah, financial economist. Yeah,
financial economist. Then finally you switched from that end to behavioral studies. Yeah. What was the motivation behind that switch?
So the motivation came about as a result of talking to a friend, and so look, it all started way back in Ghana. I had the privilege to also be part of an organization in my church, and I was kind of heading. It's called anybody been to Assemblies of God know this wings in Assemblies of God. It's called the Royal Rangers. So I had the privilege. Yeah, I had the privilege to serve as their commander. It's like a brigade cadet sort of military sort of. So that is where I started having the fulfillment of working with kids, because it gave me fulfillment. So I was like, wow, I'm not saying my earlier job was stressing me out. It was not stressing me out, but I started having that kind of fulfillment, that passion for helping kids, right from where my pastor gave me the chance to work with these kids, like boys and girls. And I was teaching them how to take care of themselves, growing up, how to, be clean, ironing their stuff, looking presentable anywhere you go. It was kind of nurturing them, while they were transitioning to, youthful stage. So that is where the passion started. And then it didn't die off. So I had the privilege to talk to a friend who is also in the United States here. And then he was like, hey, I know you've been doing a lot. You are very good when it comes to economics. Don't you mind pursuing your master's in MBA? That was the first conversation. And I was like, okay. So I applied for the master's degree MBA here, and I had it. But due to certain reasons, I was not able to make it. So I had to defer, and then to the following semester. And then one day I was just around and I was just browsing through their programs because my mind was strictly business, that was my area. And then I saw special education, and then I read how their course contents looked like. And I was like, oh, it's kind of aligning with whatever I'm doing right now, my passion. So I decided to read more, get involved with reading behaviors and stuff like that. So that is how it comes. So, and then like behavior, like I said, getting into special education was a prerequisite for me because I couldn't just get in like that. They have a way they admit students into their program, and you need to respect their requirement. So I realized that special education was a prerequisite for that program. And even though I did economics, business management in UCC, I also read a little bit of education. So I was like, okay, let me use my education to apply to this program. And I had it. So that is how come, I switched from the business side to.
Okay, so you spoke a little bit about the fact that because of your background, you had some level of difficulty transitioning into the new area. Beyond the classroom or the academic difficulty in terms of the transition, were there any cultural shocks when you finally got into the system?
Yes, a lot of cultural shock. It will surprise you. One of my qualitative classes here, whilst I was in my PhD program, I did research on anxieties international students go through whilst they are studying abroad.
Okay.
And majority of my participants said they experience anxiety because of the cultural shock. And then the cultural shocks come as a result of language barriers, different way of doing stuff. So I could easily put myself in. I could easily put myself in their shoes because can you imagine? In our system of the African culture, you cannot speak to an elderly person and you are using your left hand. You'll be regarded as being disrespectful. And then that was my first cultural shock. So listen, it's a funny story. So my first time in class, we were all. I think I was the only international student and a black guy. My colleagues were very wonderful, very, very wonderful. I didn't even feel like I was a minority. So it was a good environment for me. But there was a day a professor was asking a question. He asked a question, and then I saw everybody raising their left hand. I was like, whoa, what is this? And in my mind, I'm like, I was brought up from a background where I've been influenced, saying you cannot use the left hand when you're talking to an elderly person. I was like, why are they all raising their left hand? It doesn't show a sign of respect. I mean, being respectful. Yeah. So I went back home. I spoke to a couple of people, and they were like, that is their culture. It's got nothing to do with being, because while you may be writing with your right hand, and then you may want to get the attention of your professor. So definitely you need to raise your left hand. So that made a whole lot of sense. So culture shock wise, I did experience, but I came to a point of realization where I told myself I need to unlearn certain things and relearn certain things so that I can perfectly fit. And then on learning, I'm not talking about learning bad stuff, learning their system of how you can survive in the classroom, how you can even talk to your professors and all that, So the cultural shock I did experience, but there was nothing I could do. People will say, when you go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. So, yeah.
Okay. So just like you mentioned earlier, for you, the original intention was for you to come and do a master's program. Why the sudden move, or it was already planned? It was something that you've planned your life to go into a PhD program to get the highest level of education?
So, yeah, that's a very good question. So my initial plan was to, after master's, I'm all done. But then I was gonna write a lot of professional. So I was more into writing certification, papers, like license papers, so that I'll be certified in various areas. But coming from a background where my dad is a lecturer, my mom is an educationist. They were always kind of influencing me in a very good way to pursue my PhD program. And I kept telling them I was scared because I knew PhD was a whole lot of writing and I was not ready to write and all that, go through the stress, because I've heard stories of people saying even with the masters, they were struggling. How much more PhD program? So it was an upgrade of the stress. So some of these things were scaring me. So I never planned. Even when I got to United States here, I was like, once I'm done with my master's program, I'm all done. But I realized that I needed to pursue, because whilst I was in my master's program, I told myself, this is not what I want to do. It's not about the special education. I really want to get into the behavior program. So even though I could have gone to the master's area when it comes to behavior analysis, but I was like, okay, I'm not getting this done through master's program. I want to put aside my fears, face them. And so it was a self-motivating thing. And then I saw friends also getting into the PhD program, and I'd asked them and they said it's stressful, but you can do it once you have a purpose. Yeah, once you have the purpose, you have the passion. And I think it's the passion that really drives me into the PhD program. If you don't, so my advice is, if you don't have the passion, don't get into the PhD program, because one is going to stress you, no matter what. But when you have the passion, that is what is going to keep you.
Yeah.
the passion will keep you, because you'll be providing papers and then you'll be having a lot of feedback from your committee. It will stress you, and they'll be giving you deadline, and you want to get out from the PhD program, like finish school and all that. So it's like staying on your chair for like 24 hours, like hours working. But all I can say is the passion that is driving me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. You've repeatedly mentioned passion.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your research area? Because once you have passion, how do kids and even Africans back home enjoy from your research area?
Yeah. So now, even though I'm in the applied behavior analysis program, it's broad. So let me correct this. When you're in the behavior analysis program, it's not basic. It's not only, you don't only work with kids with autism. You don't work with kids with behavior problems. You can also find yourself working in like business organizations. So we have organizational behavior management.
Yes,
so
sure.
I can still choose to go through that route. But like I said, my passion is to help people. It's being something on my heart, no matter what. So even with the OBM, even when it's a passion of helping people in the business world, how you can reinforce people to give out their best performance. So currently, even though that is a different area, but currently I'm researching into a different passion where I want to provide positive behavior support to families who have children with behavior challenges. How we can train parents, because any behavior a child puts up, it's a way of communicating. If they are not able to communicate, that is where they put up certain behaviors. So and there are some technicalities involved. So you need someone who has dived into behavior analysis to understand why they are putting up certain behaviors. And African, it's quite a new area in the United States here. So if it's a new area in the United, I mean, it's been there, but the attention, behavior analysis has gained attention recent years. So and I don't think it's even new with the Ghanaian curriculum. So me being here and wanting to give back to my country of origin, I just felt like this is a way to help families, provide good behavior interventions to their kids, having behavior challenges. So that is what my current research is about.
Okay, great. Okay, how do we deal with stigma when it comes to people living with such conditions, especially in Africa and maybe Ghana specifically? How do we deal with such stigma?
So that is a very great question. Africans normally, we will attribute everything to spirituality. I mean, I'm not saying spirituality doesn't exist, but that kind of feeling, my child, it's having behavior challenges, and then kind of placing a negative stigma on parents is something. And it's another thing that really drove me into this area, because I just want them to feel, it comes with a whole lot of problems like anxiety on the part of parents and all that. But my research is to tell them, hey, it's okay to feel that way, but there's also another way to help these kids, come up and enjoy success just like other kids without, behavior. It's not strictly autism, but other forms of intellectual disability, developmental disability, including autism. So my research is basically to empower parents, to do away with the stigma, because I know the stigma is real, that kind of bad perception around autism. And then the fact that majority of them have attribute these to spirituality and all that. I mean, it can be a reason, but, when you kind of assess these children, you realize that parents are getting worried for no reason. There's a way out, So dealing with the stigma, my research will let them know how they can deal. I mean, let them know it's good to feel that way, because nobody wants their child to behave in a way that is not socially appropriate. But there's a way out. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So still talking about the impact that we can have on lives back home. There are a lot of people migrating now for greener pastures and also to build capacity as well. What can we do differently as young people who are seeking to build capacities abroad? What can we do differently to influence or impact their lives back home?
So, like I said earlier on, always have the intention, be intentional of giving back to the community that raised you up. And we can all testify that we grew from Ghana, So you come in here, fine, you come to see greener pastures, but I feel like making an impact in the community also matters a lot. And that is where you leave a legacy. That is where you leave a legacy. And that is where you can boldly say, you've been a patriotic citizen, giving back, to your country and all that. So one way or the other, I would encourage my fellow Ghanaians here that they should take their studies very serious, but they should be intentional of giving back. I'm not saying go and relocate in Ghana. No, that's not what I'm saying. Fine, it's good. If you want to go relocate and you think it's best, you need to also weigh, what is best, what is not best for you. Because you cannot just say, I just want to go give back to my community, and then you go there and then things don't work out. There are several ways we can give back to our community, impact our society. Like what I did, research, a way to empower families back in Ghana. And then I think that last month, February, I wrote a grant. My professor and I wrote a grant, and then we won it. And the setting for the research was in Ghana. So so last February, I was in Ghana, and then we had to train students, we had to train teachers and all that to understand the way behavior functions. So it's all a way of giving back to the society that raised. So it's not basically studying here and then moving to the country to settle, like moving to Ghana to settle.
Several ways.
One way or the other, we can all give back. So we should be intentional of giving back.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Based on that, then I'll ask, what kind of advice would you give African youths?
So there's a lot in my mind now. So one thing I can say is we should have a sense of urgency, procrastination. Once something pops in your brain, just write it down. Have a sense of urgency and work on it. And then we also have to develop our potentials. Nobody was born with the inability to think. Even the unwise people think. Sorry to say, even unwise, you still think. That is why we put up certain things. So the fact that we have the ability to think, you need to always develop your potential. Think about something good. Find your potential and develop and work towards it. I think that would kind of be beneficial to us. So, and then one advice I will have for my colleagues in Ghana is that they should not look down on every opportunity that comes their way. The opportunity of me talking to my friend and then him telling me to consider, the master's program here led me to research into other programs where I felt like I found passion in. So that is one thing I can also say we should also look out for opportunities. Yeah, the advantages. Yes. Do not cast your net into, a single pool or something, one basket or something. You should diversify whatever you're doing. Because you might not, because my whole brain was like economic business management, but right now I ended up being an educationist, a behavior. So you see, and I think it's not easy. You need to also find mentors, people who will mentor you.
Exactly.
People who will mentor, people who have been in the field. And I think it's one of the reasons why this area has become, very lucrative for me. I've found mentors and I'm kind of riding on their shoulders because they'll be like, hey, take this route, don't do this, do that. And it has really helped me. It has really helped me. So they should also find mentors in whatever they are doing, whether you are in the United States here or you are in Ghana. Because there comes a point in time you may be traveling or you may be going a certain direction and you'll be stuck. Now you need to fall back to people who have knowledge, and you have to fall back to these mentors. So no matter how knowledgeable you are in a field, still find potential mentors. They are great people who help us to succeed.
Okay. All right. So if you could turn the clock of life back, what kind of advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
To my 18-year-old self. Let me see what I was doing 18 years. 18 years, I was shame morale. I was shameful. I'm not saying it's bad. It's very good.
Of course.
It's a reliever. It's a stress reliever. But so to my 18-year self, it comes to the fact that don't neglect opportunities. Make use whatever you're doing. Just make sure you are excelling in that area. And I think it's one of the things that really helped me turning the clock to my 18 years, even though I was having fun while I was because 18 years I was in the university then. Even though I was having fun, but I knew my purpose. And life without purpose is life without profitability. If you don't have purpose in life, there's no way you profit this life. You know, so I knew my purpose. I knew why I was there studying. So I would say we should have a purpose in life. Once you have the purpose and it's stuck in your heart, no matter what you do, you come back to your purpose and you work towards it. Yeah. And then we also in time management. Time management is the biggest deal. If I really want to talk about my 18-year self and something I really failed in, it's my time management. Because I felt like even though I was not managing my time well, I was delivering all through, but it was not the best.
Could
and
have
I
done
came to a point. Yes, that is the point. I came to a point of realization where I was like, if I had done this, had ample time and go through this whole procedure, I would have delivered perfectly. You know, so turning the clock to my 18-year-old self, I would advise myself to strictly manage my time perfectly, you know, and that way I can deliver well. You know, you bear with me where you kind of put your assignment down. For example, you put your assignment down and you realize that it's due, let's say 4 hours later, and you're like,
that's when you know,
even though you are able to deliver, but when you can try this, intentionally take a work that you rush to do, read through, and then you realize that I could have,
corrected some few things if you are taking time.
Added certain things, because that is where you begin to think. So time management.
Okay. All right. Finally, what advice would you give to young people who might want to come in and study, or people who are fresh in the system? What are some of the do's and don'ts they are supposed to take note of when they find themselves as an international student?
Okay. So one thing I would say, first of all, you should know you are in a foreign land and the land is governed by rules and regulations. You don't want to mess with their rules. Fine. America is such that you probably would think you can do anything, but until you get into trouble.
Find yourself in trouble.
Until you are pulled over by the cops, by the highway. Just because you are speeding and they are like, cannot see your license, and they'll pull their system and it's like you've messed up. You are in trouble. So one thing for sure, once you are here, the do's and don'ts, make sure you are adhering to the rules of the land. You are also taking into consideration how the culture looks like, and then there's no need for you to learn everything. Their culture, there are certain things it will not side well with you. There are certain things that will side well with you. Learn the ones that will side well with you, and then those ones that kind of align with your aspiration, your career, passion. Those are the ones you learn, And then the ones you unlearn are the ones that will not help you. That will not help you to succeed in the United States as an international student.
Okay.
So that is all that I can say. And then one of the things I will talk about the do's, and it's very dear to my heart to the international students. I always advise every international student is to look for opportunities. There are a whole lot. Okay. This land America is full of opportunities, but you wouldn't know until you research into it.
Yeah.
People have come here, like myself. We've been able to, the mindset is like, you can always get your green card. That is an example I'm citing.
Yeah.
You can always get a green card maybe when you marry an American.
Yeah.
Or your job files for you.
Yeah.
And then you get H1B1, and then maybe later on you transition to green card or something. But there's another route where when you research, you can know that you can get your green card in a very easy way.
Yeah.
Like the NIW, the interest waiver.
Yeah.
So when you are taking your study serious, you are writing a lot of research, you are presenting at conferences, you are riding on the shoulders of your mentors and all that, because even when you want to get a green card, these people need to recommend you. They need to write something about you. And that is the route I took. And it has really helped me. So I would tell them that they have to research. They have to look into, the opportunities that you think suit your aspiration. And then, you should not always be, your brain should not always be like, I'm in school, reading, and that is it. What about after school? What do you do next?
Yeah.
Okay. So whilst they are in school, they need to look into ways and means they can, if they really want to stay
after school. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that is one thing I will also let them know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Van Dyke, for your time and for the insights that you've shared with our audience. Maybe at another time, when you are done with school and you've entered the professional world, we'll have another session. Then we'll talk more into what you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me too.
Okay,
and I also want to seize this opportunity to also thank your audience. I feel like this is a very good platform to empower all young professionals living abroad, not just America, but,
and even people at home as well.
Yes, and people, yes. That is where we kind of have the connection. They can reach out to us if they really want help, how they can find ways and means to get into the system.
So I'll leave your link to your socials, LinkedIn, in the description.
Yeah. So it's just my name, Van Dyke Adeboa, when they can always connect there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, until I come your way next time, stay positive, keep your heads up, and you surely reach your destination. Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe as well.